Hey, Draymond here. Black Friday game day is coming to prom with an epic day of live sports. Black Friday football is back with the Chicago Bears taking on the Philadelphia Eagles at 3 p.m. Eastern, followed by an Emirates NBA Cup doubleheader, Bucks, Knicks at 7 p.m., and Mavs, Lakers at 10 p.m. And the whole day starts with the Capital One Skins game as 4 elite PGA golfers meet with $4 million on the line. Black Friday game day, the Capital One Skins game at 9 a.m., Bears Eagle NFL action at 3 p.m., and the final night of Emirates NBA group play with Bucks Knicks at 7 and Mavs Lakers at 10, only on Prime. Man, such an honor to have this next guest on. It means so much to me when I look back on my journey in year 14 of my career, and right at the beginning of that of the 14 years that I've been blessed to play in the NBA, we'll run up into this opponent with the Denver Nuggets. And the reality is the way he played the game at that point in his career. He'd take you to the post. He's getting everything around the rim. He's, we call it gnashing it, where you dribble the ball underneath the rim and keep your dribble. Jimmy Butler does a lot. He was famous for that. The moment you relax, he get a layup, he get an and one, just herky-jerky, smart as hell. And so he was my ticket to get on the court because the game was so unorthodox that you wouldn't necessarily put guards on him. But Coach Jackson thought I could guard guards, and so he put me in the game to guard this next guest. And he hit the first game winner I've had hit on me. He do stuff like go stand out of bounds underneath the rim. You go help. He come in, get a quick layup, just witty, smart, and really showed me, like I've always been a high IQ basketball player, but he showed me right at the beginning of my career of what it meant to be a high IQ basketball player in the NBA. And I quickly learned that, if I want to like hang my hat on my basketball IQ, there's so much more that I need to learn. And it just motivated me. And the challenge to guard him, again, that was my ticket onto the floor. So it was the only chance I had. And it was an unbelievable challenge. And so many people don't understand how good this next guest was. I'm honored to have on the Draymond Green show none other, 2002 assist leader in the NBA. You talking about when point guards really was like pass first and dropping dimes. Honored to have this next guest, the OG Andre Miller. The reason I wanted to do this interview so bad is because I don't feel like the respect is given from a basketball standpoint that should be given. And I had the honor to play against the OG. First guy to hit a game winner on me, which, I have this this lock-in ability when it's a game winner on the line, and it's literally due to Dre Miller gaming me my rookie year and not having an answer, and also was one of the guys that when I first came into the league, the way I could get onto the court was defensive stops. Coach Jackson as our coach. And this was the first matchup that he ever put me in on, and like, yo, you got to go stop him. Nobody else can stop him. See if you can do it. And just threw me into the fire. And I couldn't stop him, but I think I earned a little bit of respect. So I'm honored to have this next guest, the OG Andre Miller. What's up, man? How you doing? It's great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. I want to, like I said, number one, I want to get right into you as a basketball player first and foremost. The way you played the game of basketball, and when I think of guys crafting their game, I always try to figure out how did you craft your game? Because I've never played against an NBA player like you that go to the post when they got. I mean, you would take me to the post. I think I probably got you by a couple inches, and I definitely had you by 20 pounds, but you would take any guy to the post. One of the most interesting things that you did, and just brilliant, I also don't think you get enough credit for your brilliance as a basketball player, is when you would go stand underneath the rim, out of bounds,
Yeah,
wait for
yeah,
the guy to go help, come in and get the layup.
yeah.
Just they changed the rule in the NBA because the OG would go stand out of bounds under the rim and get layup after layup, and now we can't stand out of bounds anymore. But I just wanted to ask, like, how did you craft your game to become so good, so dominant, but like not it wasn't just in your face like that. You just kind of used the game to get what you needed. Like, who helped you craft your game that way?
Man, I've been playing basketball probably since I was 5 or 6 years old, and man, I was always in front of the TV, man. I was always in front of the TV watching the Lakers, watching the Bulls, watching every NBA team growing up, and it was, something that I had dreamed of doing, and basically was just copying every player that I saw, and just putting it into my game, and it made the game easy. The first thing I just started passing the ball. I was always a willing passer, and just growing up in Los Angeles, you watching Showtime Lakers, fast break basketball, and Magic Johnson passing the ball, and I just wanted to be just like that. So my game is entirely a mix of all the players that I looked up to, copied them, whether it be the post, watching Gary Payton, watching Adrian Dantley, Mark Aguirre, Kevin McHale, James Worthy. I mean, I tried to take something from every player that I watched and just apply it to my game. So, it made the game simple for me, and it, transferred over into a long career in the NBA.
Absolutely. I think, when you look at the game in the 2000s, early 2000s, the guard play that was in the NBA, and in 2002, you were the assist leader, and, such a special accomplishment. Like I said, you talking the likes of Steve Nash, like just dominant pass, and that's the era of like pass first point guards. It wasn't like where it is today, where most point guards aren't pass first point guards. You led the NBA in assists when the league was as a point guard, it was pass first.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
what was that like? Eh, Go
I
ahead.
mean, it
No,
it
go
was
ahead.
like,
Like,
at that time you had to be great at something. And I wasn't a killer 3-point shooter. I thought I was a solid defender. And my thing in college was, defense and passing the ball, and that's something that I took to the NBA. Was like, if I'm gonna get any respect from my peers, walking into an NBA locker room with veterans, I got to be able to make these guys happy. I got to lead with my practice habits and my work ethic, and then when I'm on the court, making guys' jobs easier. So I was able to play with some great shooters early on that made it a lot easy for me to just get those guys the ball and then knock down the shots. So, I wanted to perfect that craft, and wanted my teammates to enjoy playing basketball with me. So that's why I took on that craft.
like I said, to start to show off, I think, when I look around the NBA of guys that I played against, you're at the top of the list that, like, we always talk about, obviously, you get the respect from the media, you get the respect from the fans, all those things. But we always talk about the respect from your peers. And you're one of the guys at the top of that list that obviously got the respect, you know what I'm saying, as like the NBA player you were, but not to the level of player that I know you were. You know what I'm saying? You're at the top of that list for me. Whenever I talk to guys, they like, yo, who was a guy that like you played against that you struggle against that, but nobody would think about? And every time I mention your name, it's like really? And then it's like, damn, you're right. Like, I forgot about Dre Miller. I forgot he was doing this and doing that. And the moment you mention it to people, then it's like, oh, the light bulb go off. Like, oh yeah. But you know, when and speaking of respect, you are one of the only player, or you are the only player in NBA history to have 16,000 career points, 8,000 assists, 1,500 steals, and yet never get in an All-Star game, which I think is fucking blasphemous. But when you look back at your career and you point to one year, what was one year that you would point to that you would say, no, that if no other year, I should have been an All-Star in that year and I was snubbed.
I'll probably say my third year. I mean, my second and third year in the NBA, but especially my third year, the year I led the league in assists. I mean that the NBA, man, it was so crowded with talent on the East and the Western Conference, and that was also the year I believe Michael Jordan came back,
Yep.
and I think it was a few guys that was upset when he came back, because they was like, we're gonna be on the All-Star team, and then guys started getting bumped off and stuff like that. But I thought the third year when I averaged a double double and led the league in assists, that I would make the team. Unfortunately, at that time, it was like, guys that were on bad teams weren't making the All-Star team, so we didn't have a great record. And then at the same time, it was Michael Jordan coming back and bringing more attention to the league. So um, I would say probably that third year.
Just in speaking of your career holistically, uh, and the longevity of your career, you only missed 6 games your entire career. Only three of those due to injury. What would you say? And I've heard all the stories, which I want to get to. But what would you say was the key to you having that type of durability? In a league that it was a physical ass league back then, and to only miss 3 games due to injury. What would you say was the key to that durability for you?
I think mentally, just wanting to stay ahead of the game. I enjoyed practicing. I enjoyed being better, getting better. I enjoyed leading by example, and I didn't, knock on wood. I never wanted to get hurt, and I didn't get hurt, but I didn't want to fall behind. So the urge to always be on the court and be involved and be involved in the process of the team getting better or getting to the playoffs. I just took pride in that, and I felt like it was my duty as a point guard and a leader, to have my teammates depend on me. Like, oh, we
Mm-hmm.
know Dre's gonna be there. We know Dre's playing. If somebody's not shooting well or things ain't going right, guys knew that I could help a guy get back into rhythm. So, it was just all mental for me. I wanted to be out there. I didn't want to get hurt. Even when I was hurt at times and I could have easily sat down, it was more of, I want to be on the court and I don't want to fall behind. I don't want to have to, you know, go in the weight room and run lines and get back in shape and all that type of stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think I prided myself on that just because I didn't want to go through the process of doing extra conditioning and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And in a day and age where conversation is always load management, this shouldn't happen. What are your thoughts on load management of today's NBA?
I don't care for the load management, but of course, it's a different time. A time where guys are getting, more injury prone. I don't know. It's sometimes I'm against it, and then I'm like, man, like that lifestyle wasn't real. I can't imagine myself playing 82 games, flying in the middle of the night, eating cookies, and hanging out on the plane and stuff like that. And when I look at it, I'm like, man, I can't believe I did that. So, your body gets beat up, and the mental part of it is it's easy to say, you know what, I don't have it today, but this is what we dream for is to play in the NBA, and it doesn't last long at all. As
Mm-hmm.
14 years in,
Yeah,
you can remember all the way back to your rookie year, like in the
absolutely.
snap of a finger. You're like, man, did I do that? Did I win 4 or 5 championships? And now you're like, okay, well, what's next after basketball? So, I just took pride on being on the court because I knew that lifestyle and that career wasn't going to last long.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I think, and I obviously understand both sides of it. I came into the league when it wasn't a thing, and being in the league, and seeing the changes. You know what I'm saying? Like seeing how much faster the game is. You know what I'm saying? Seeing, all the science that they have today. Like, man, there's a number quantifying everything we do today. You know what I'm saying? Whether
Mm.
you go on the court to work out, just literally go on the court to work out. As and coaching last year, they got a tracker on you. You know what I'm saying? Like they're keeping track of the your workload every single time you step on the court. How many times during the game, you're not able to reach top speed. You know what I'm saying? How many times that week? What's the trend that week? We've been watching your numbers between your jumps that we have you do, plus your bursts on the court, and you're trending towards injury, all these different things. So, when I look at the load management, I understand why people don't, respect it in a sense or necessarily rock with it. But on the flip side, when I take a step back and you look at all the different numbers that they're keeping, I do understand why, why it's a thing. Because oftentimes today, it's not really the player saying, yo, I'm going to sit out this game or I need to sit out. Oftentimes it's the medical staff, performance staff coming to you saying, yo, we think you need to sit out a game. Like your numbers are
Yeah,
trending bad.
especially in the G League, I mean, on the coaches side, I would get trainers and the team trainer, they would come up to me and be like, we get this email and that little tracker that you put in your shorts,
Mm-hmm.
They'd be like, such as Andrew Funk ran 4 miles today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a little bit too much. I'm like, man, like they really keeping track of all this stuff, and like maybe we need to back off. But it's like, it happens like that at times. So you definitely got to pay attention to that because injuries do happen when guys feel overworked.
1,000%. Hey, Draymond here. Black Friday game day is coming to prom, and it'll be an epic day of live sports. Black Friday football is at the center of it all, with the Chicago Bears taking on the Philadelphia Eagles at 3 p.m. Eastern. That's followed by the final night of Emirates NBA Cup group play and a doubleheader, starting with the Bucks and Knicks at 7 p.m. and the Mavericks and Lakers at 10 p.m. But the whole day starts with the return of the Capital One Skins game as 4 elite PGA golfers face off with $4 million on the line. Black Friday game day tees off with the Capital One Skins game at 9 a.m. Eastern before the big Bears-Eagles football game at 3 p.m. And it all culminates with a double dose of Emirates NBA Cup action featuring Bucks Knicks at 7 p.m. and Mav Lakers at 10 p.m. only on Prime. And speaking of the G League, what was your experience like coaching the G League team? And do you aspire to become a head coach in the NBA?
Well, I never thought about coaching. It was kind of like accidental how I got the job. I was at Summer League and, Calvin Booth, the GM at the time, I reached out to get some tickets for the Summer League game. Like, hey, I want to bring some kids. It's like AAU ball going on in Vegas, and the kids wanted to go to the Summer League game. So I just reached out to some people that I knew, asked them for tickets, and Calvin Booth gave me some tickets. And then afterwards, he asked me, was I interested in coaching the G League team? And I was like, sure. At the time I was thinking the job was in Denver, but it was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. But, I did 3 seasons in the G League. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed interacting with the players, learning how to find my niche as a coach and, adjusting to being far away from the Denver Nuggets. And it was tough. It was challenging because we were in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah.
It was tough to get assignment players and two-way players, but I enjoyed it. I'm kind of like in the middle of if I want to continue to do it or where I can find my niche, whether in college or the NBA. But I do feel that I am a head coach. It's just about the opportunity and somebody willing to put the trust in me to lead an organization or a team. So if it happens, cool. If not, then there's other things that I can do to keep myself busy. But I did enjoy it.
That's amazing. Speaking of enjoying, when you watch the game today, I know you're always have been a big basketball head. One of the things in moving around the league today, I never want to sound like the old grumpy ass dude, but one of the things in moving around today, like what you realize with these young guys is like they don't really watch basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like they're like, yeah, no, it's not. I don't really watch basketball, and it's always one of the things that's baffling to me. Like You don't watch basketball. But then you watch them play, and it's like, oh yeah, you talented, but it makes sense why you don't know X, Y, and Z because you just don't watch the game. And little things that you pick up on and just watching the game, you missing out on all of that stuff because you don't watch basketball. Now, I said all of that to say when
Yeah.
you watch the game today, who are some of the point guards that you enjoy watching in today's game?
Um, I'm a fan of Cade Cunningham. Um, I had an opportunity to go to a few Detroit Pistons games, and I like how the game is evolving. I like the three ball.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, um, I wish it could still be a little bit more physical, but you got to
Yeah.
give and give a little bit. But I think it is a little bit soft. But I like the way the league is trending with the amount of shooters that's out there. But I like to see more physicalness. But Cade Cunningham is one of my favorites. I'm a big Donovan Mitchell fan.
Yeah.
Um, I just like guys that compete. And I specifically one game I went to in Detroit. Um, I saw something that happened on the court between, Detroit Pistons teammates and Cade Cunningham. He just, shut it down. It was just like straight leadership. And I was like, man, like he missed somebody open for a shot and the guy was upset. I think it was Tim Hardaway Jr. He was upset that Cade missed him because he had made a couple shots in a row. And Kay was like, "Hey man, I got you next time." You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But his leadership skills, the way he carry himself, and I'm watching this from a distance because I just go sit in the stands. I just go sit in the stands and watch any type of basketball, whether it be AAU basketball all the way to the pros. So I'm still a sponge to the game, but he's one of my favorites so far. Him and Donovan Mitchell. I like Jalen Brunson a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of talent out there. It's a lot of talent.
Be that Jalen Brunson dad was in the league, obviously when you were playing, I'd have a hard time believing in watching Jalen Brunson play that he didn't watch you play and pattern some of his game after you. Because there's a lot of similarities. The way y'all got it to the paint and use the mid-range, way y'all take smaller defenders to the post. Like I think there's a lot of similarities in between and you and Jalen Brunson game, and he got that old school type of feel. And I know he grew up around it during that time. I'd be
Yeah,
very
yeah.
shocked if you're not one of the guys he modeled this game after.
I mean, I'm a big fan of his. I mean, Jalen Brunson. I mean, and he got a motor. He got a
Yes, he
motor, and he
does.
got a will to win. I like to see how tall he really is, but he can ball, man. I really like the way he plays, and you could tell that he's passionate. And like I tell these young kids, like there's a difference between loving the game and being passionate about it. And all these guys that play in the NBA have some form of passion for the game, and he's one of those guys that I enjoy watching play.
Most definitely. And we're along the lines of the elite point guards. When you look at back at your career, and the guards that you played against, who would you say were some of the battles that you remember the most? Like the guys that you go up to, the one or two guys that you go up against, and you like, yo, this one I know is a battle every single time we play. Who was like the toughest matchup for you?
Um, Tony Parker, Chauncey Billups, Jason Kidd.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
every
That's
every I
crazy.
mean every guard, I was like, man, losing sleep. I would say out of everybody, I would say Allen Iverson, probably because it was like, man, I was guarding him the entire game. It was I was guarding him the entire game, and it was like, man, like, dude, like I'm a pretty good defender, and this guy is still getting buckets, and I dealt with that for like 12, 13 years, all those guards. And then, I knew it was time for me to go after you guys came along and I had to guard that one little young guy, Stephen Curry. I knew it was pretty much over. But, from those guys all the way to to one of the great Stephen Curry, man, it was definitely some sleepless nights, So like, hey man, get this nap in, get the legs ready, get loose because it's gonna be a long night. So I would say Allen Iverson, Stephen Curry, all those guys brought something different to the table that gave me some problems.
Most definitely. Like, man, just hearing you say that, bro, it just takes me back to my first couple of years. And some games I didn't play much. Some games, like, I'll be honest, you were my route on the floor as a rookie
Yeah.
because, like I said, our guards, like Steph, I love Steph to death. He was too small. Like Coach Jackson would have never put Steph on you. You would have posted him up. And we all knew that. And none of us were going to just watch Steph get posted up. And so like he'd be on like a Randy Foy, you know what I'm saying? Or even like chase around Aaron Aflalo a little bit more. But like we would never put Steph on you. But like just hearing you speak, man, it just takes me back to those days. Like that was my way of getting on the floor because you would post the smaller guys up. And every time we played, y'all, I knew, I'm gonna get some tick today. Coach Jackson gonna put me in the game to guard Dre Miller. I'm gonna get some tick. And I'll tell you, man, I still haven't gotten over you gaming me. I just for every game winning stop I've gotten in my career, they should attribute that to you because I still haven't gotten over that. I can't. God damn, that shit was heartbreaking for me, man. I was trying to make my
Well,
hay.
y'all, I think that might have been the only game that we won in the series because y'all after that, I think boy, it was rough after that. But I still remember our conversation on the court. I think you had said something to me like, like man, you know, you had a good career and like it was like respectful, man. So I had a lot of respect for you guys, man. I was hurt actually when y'all beat us and Iguodala turns around and goes and joins the Warriors. Like, hey man, what's going on? What's going on here? But I was happy for you guys' success, man. I'm happy for your success and I enjoyed the competition. I actually do have that frame picture of me scoring on you because that's probably the only time that I ever scored on you. But it was definitely one of those fun times as I got older. I think I was probably like mid-30s when that happened.
Yes, you
So
were.
you know, yeah. So definitely
Yes,
was fun.
yes, you were. I have a question. So
Mhm,
there's always been these stories about your off-season training. And, and
mhm.
back then, training camp was a little long. Training camp was 3-4 weeks long. I think I even had a 5-week training camp when I first came into the league. But there was always the stories about how, guys train all summer now, hoop all summer. And there was always the story about your off season and what I was told was that like, verbatim what was said to me is Dre would say he naturally allows his body to gain weight and he naturally allows his body to lose weight. He gives his body time to recover and go through his natural process over the offseason and then work his way back into shape
Yeah.
as camp start to near. Like, what was your regimen? Is there truth behind that? Is it over exaggerated?
No, it's truth. It's truth. Because I only made it past Mother's Day maybe once or twice. So that's you know about getting past Mother's Day. Every year you was already in the conference finals or finals, but I only made it past Mother's Day maybe twice. And so what I would do is I would just kind of chill out for a couple months. And when I say chill out, I mean like kick it. Like I'm eating. I'm hanging out. I wasn't a drinker or anything like that, but I was doing all kind of stuff as far as hanging out and spending time with family. But towards once I got towards like August when kids started going back to school, then I started working out, and by that time I was probably normally around 10 to 15 pounds overweight.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I was still like, it was easy for me, even though I was taking time off, to still go somewhere and just play basketball and just go. just go hoop. It wasn't like I was just sitting on my butt. But then once August comes, then I'm kicking it in gear, getting active, going to play pickup ball at UCLA. And then that'll kind of like work its way into training camp. And of course, once I got to training camp, I was still about 10 pounds overweight. But training camp back then, you had the whole month. You had the whole month of
Yeah,
October and 8 preseason games to get in shape. So I
absolutely.
was I was fine with that. I was fine with coming in the camp overweight because I didn't want to peak. I didn't want to peak too early, and then by Christmas time, I'm really rolling.
Do you think guys not taking that approach very much at all these days play a part in a lot of the injuries that guys are having? Because guys train all summer. It's this training, it's that training. You never truly take a break these days, maybe a couple weeks. Do you think that play a role in all the injuries that's taking place today? Like, you look around now, each team got two of their top five guys out with hamstring and calf injuries.
Yeah, I think it does hurt them. I think it does hurt them to play basketball year round because I mean we could do that when we're younger. We could
Mm-hmm.
do that when we're, you know, 9, 10, 15, 16 years old. But, when we talking about grown men, you traveling and playing basketball 6, 7 months out of the year, your body needs time to recover. And whatever you have to do. Now I'm not saying like hey, you still can go in the gym and get your 500 to 1,000 shots up or whatever you have to do, but pushing yourself throughout the summer, and those things, it depends on the person. It depends on the person. I mean, like they say, LeBron James work out all summer, and I'm still like, man, like how is he doing that? And he done been to the finals how many times?
I
Like,
feel like
but
9, 10
he's
finals.
there's a reason why he's LeBron James, because his body can handle that type of workload. So it just depends on the player. But for those young guys, you got to find balance. It's almost like going to college. Like you got all this free time. What you gonna do with it? How are you gonna handle your schedule and when you're gonna work out, when you're gonna lift weights, when you're gonna have time to rest. So you got to be on top of that because these injuries are serious. These injuries are serious. Guys are going down with Achilles tears, hamstrings. I mean, I don't know, but to each his own. To each his own.
No doubt. No doubt. Absolutely. I have a question just dating back to your childhood, your upbringing. Just when I was doing my research and I came across your high school, I saw that you went to a Jesuit high school, and I know you went to University of Utah, which, Utah, the state of Utah in general is known for, its religious practice and Mormonship and different things of that nature. And it jumped out at me because I know all the stories of where you're from, you know what I'm saying, and just being from the trenches. But then I look, and you went to a Jesuit high school, and then, University of Utah, like I said, which is effectively known for its large practice of Mormons in the state, and especially in the city of Salt Lake City. Um, was that intentional because of the upbringing and your parents wanting to put you in those type of environments because of the upbringing and kind of move you away from that? Or is it just how the cookie crumbled?
Man, I was blessed enough, my mom is still alive and I have a great mom and I have a huge family. I have a huge family and my upbringing was a great upbringing. I enjoyed my upbringing and one thing I can say about my mom is my mom put me in private school all my life. I was my mom was paying tuition from kindergarten to 12th grade and
Wow.
you know, I don't know how she got the money to do it, but the high school that I went to, it was Verbum Day High School. It's like the opposite of modern day. It's the opposite of modern day. So
Mm-hmm.
it was right there in the heart of the neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a brotherhood. It was a great school. It was known for sports. I didn't know that at the time when I went there. It was just that my mom wasn't going to send me to the local public schools.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a brotherhood, man, and if I could tell you how this school was, man, you wouldn't believe it. But um, I loved it. It was a great experience, and I have a lot of Bourbon Day brothers to this day, and a lot of history behind that school. And just going out to Utah, I mean, I didn't really get recruited, so I wasn't highly recruited, and Utah was the first school that jumped on. And what was crazy, it was like maybe two or three other black guys that were on the recruiting trip, and we was like, man, we all gonna go here.
Mhm.
And two of us end up making it on campus, and it was tough. It was a culture shock. It was a culture shock, but man, I was strictly there like I got to get an education, and then I get to play basketball. I'm away from home. I'm away from the madness, and it was a lot of great people, a lot of nice people that helped me along my journey in Utah. From guys that were with the Utah Jazz, local guys that was just around campus or off campus. And in my 5 years of being there, I only went home one time.
Really?
I only went home. Yeah, I only went home one time, and that was my freshman year, spring break, because I couldn't play my first year. So I mean, I love the experience. I love the change of seasons. I love the snow, and I didn't get caught up in the culture thing. I have Mormon friends. I didn't really get caught up in all the extra stuff.
That's fire, man. That's such an incredible experience. I can only imagine the culture shock that you felt. Because I'll be honest, so in growing up in Saginaw, the school that I went to, like, we may have had one or two white kids, like my whole life. Like
Hmm.
I went to school with like all black kids and Mexicans, but predominantly black. And when I got to Michigan State, it was a culture shock for me. It was the most
Hmm.
white kids that I had ever been around in my life. And so obviously, as you know, we go, like I got to Michigan State June 1st when all the kids are leaving campus. We're coming in to
Yeah.
start off-season training, weight training in the summer, conditioning, all that stuff. And so all the kids leaving school, especially all the black kids. So then now I was only around white students. So
Hmm.
when the students came back, I had a cousin that went to Michigan State. We graduated high school class together in Saginaw. She went to Michigan State just like on academics. And I'll never forget, I went to visit her dorm like soon as she got to campus. And she lived in the dorm where most of the black students live. And when I walked in after 3 months of being on campus and not really being around any black people, then I was nervous around black people. Like, man, I wonder if they looking at me crazy because I've been around my wife. Like, it was just in my mind. So I can only imagine the culture shock you went through in Utah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it was pretty much my upbringing was pretty much the same as yours, and it was rough. It was rough, but I had father figures, I had friends, I had a huge family, people to lean on, and I never looked at it as a bad situation where I come from. And but I mean, there was so many people that helped me along the way, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
easy, to go sit in the class, and I could tell you probably over half the classes I sat in, I didn't even know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? It was just
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm just enjoying the experience, meeting friends along the way. I learned to fish. I learned to ski. I learned to ride horses. I learned so much there. So, it was almost like, something that I needed. And that's one thing that my mom did for me was, expose me to something other than what I grew up in. And it just happened organically. So, it's a lot of people that helped along the way.
Most definitely. A couple more questions to get you out of here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. When you look at the pool of talent today, the layout of basketball overall, obviously coming from LA, you look at LA, New York, Michigan, Chicago. You look at all these different places that's been like hotbeds for talent. Atlanta, hotbeds for talent. Do you think when you look at all those different spots, would you say the best talent come from LA?
I wouldn't say that. I'm not gonna say that because man, there's some ballers everywhere. There's some ballers everywhere, and I've been blessed enough to go to some different cities and some different areas and neighborhoods where guys can really play some ball. And it's hoopers everywhere. It's some guys that bring some spunkiness to the game. I do feel that there's a certain style that guys from different states play, like how they play. Like when I was coming up, we we was banging on the inside. We do one-on-one drills. Nobody was shooting jump shots. We just drive and then you get laid out and knocked on the ground, and it was rough like that. But then you got New York, you got the dribblers and all that type of stuff and the passers and but I think every state, I think Texas got some good ball players. Everywhere is good.
Yeah.
Cali is just a big state, man. And, I don't get caught up in, do we got the best hoopers or not? I mean, it's hoopers from everywhere, man. And I was just blessed enough to play against those type of players. So it was fun. It was competitive, man. And I could say my toughest matchups weren't playing against LA guys. It was playing against guys from different cultures and backgrounds from all over.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Absolutely. And I think my last one would be, just as the steward of the game that you are, love the game, that you stay up on the game the way that you do. When you look at the NBA landscape, obviously you got your Stephs and Brons and all those guys. Like, they are what they are. It is what it is. But as you look at the league over the course of the next 5 years, who would you say is probably the top 5 guys, younger guys, that hasn't quite, like I would still consider Jason Tatum a younger guy, like 26, 27 years old, still in the prime of his career. But when you look at the younger guys over the next 5 years, who's the guys that you expect to have a torch, whether they got it now and still have it, or, whether you think it's a couple younger guys coming up over the next 5, 6 years, who's some 5 younger guys that you would say would probably be some of the guys carrying the torch of the league?
SGA,
Absolutely.
Anthony Edwards. I'm a big Greek fan. I'm a big Giannis fan.
Yes,
I'm a
sir.
big Giannis fan. I'm a big Luca fan. I like to see Kyrie get back healthy because I still think he got a lot left in the tank to go
Mm-hmm.
out there and make some stuff happen. And then of course though, I like Cunningham. I like
Yes,
Cade
sir.
Cunningham and what he's bringing to the table. Um, I like to see I like to see Devin Booker get to another team and really like he's almost getting lost in the sauce a little bit because the team is not winning over there, but I want to see Devin Booker on the big stage
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a huge fan of his. So it's so much talent, him and also LaMelo Ball. I like to see him on another team, just to see him deal with some pressure
Mm-hmm.
and how he can actually lead a team in the playoffs. So those are my guys. But definitely SGA and Anthony Edwards, they're at the top, and I'm sure I'm missing some other guys. That's my favorites, but those are the 2 guys. I mean, of course, in the big fella in Denver, I mean, he's just gonna keep tearing the league up as long as he's in there. So,
Yes, he is.
so yeah. So I mean, it's like almost like he playing against kids out there. So, those are my favorites.
I respect that, man. What a great list. OG, I can't thank you enough, man. You don't know how much this interview means to me, to sit here and chop it up with you. The respect that I have for you, to have the opportunity to play against you, like the impact that it had on my career, of having to guard you so early on in my career and showing me the range of guys that I need to be able to guard in order to make a career for myself. And just, like that impression that you left on me, honestly, from just completely busting my ass and not having an answer, it inspired me to want to continue to be better and better defensively, because I didn't come in the league as a defender. I came in the league I made it to the league because I could score, because I could pass, because I could rebound. And it was quickly evident to me what my path would be. And you were one of the guys right at the front of that showed me how much better I needed to be defensively to make it in this league. So I can't thank you enough for the impact that you don't know you had on my journey. I'll be forever grateful for that. Like, just trying to play chess with you, like I said, and going out of bounds and seeing how I could still help and not give up the layup. Like, just having to learn the game that way was special to me and who I've become as a player. So I can't thank you enough.
Thank you for having me, man, and thank you for even thinking of me, man. Thank you for even thinking of me, and it was a pleasure, and I'm a huge fan of you guys. I watch you guys whenever I can, and you've had a Hall of Fame career, man. Thank you very much for catching up with me, and good luck to you and your family, and stay healthy, man. Stay healthy and keep balling, man. Keep balling.
No doubt, I will, most definitely. Man, I would love, if you had the time to host you up here at a game. I got a restaurant up here. We get some dinner, break some bread, man. It would be great to catch up with you if possible.
Definitely. I'll find my way, man. Thank you very much, man. You guys take care of yourself.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, OG. If you're rocking with the Draymond Green Show, be sure to click follow on your favorite podcast app. And while you're there, go ahead and drop a 5-star rating and leave a review. I want to hear what you think, and it would also mean a ton to me if you share it with a friend that you think would enjoy it. Let's keep this thing growing. The Draymond Green Show is presented by Odyssey and executive produced in conjunction with the New Media. Our executive producers are Leah Reese-Dennis, Danny Freisinger, and Greg Hosmer.